Haiti is the only recorded revolution that was conceived, organized, and carried out by a slave population in the entire history of human society. James says that, quote, the transformation of slaves, trembling in hundreds before a single white man, into a people able to organize themselves and defeat the most powerful European nation of their day, is one of the greatest epics of the revolutionary struggle and achievement, unquote. Now, the Haitian Revolution had a tremendous impact on the United States. It struck fear into the slave master class in the South and in the North, who knew that from that point forward, there was a real potential for the overthrow of the plantation owners and their dreaded system of exploitation and oppression. The revolutionary struggle in San Domingo rendered absurd the notion of the inherent superiority of the European and the inability of African people to both rise up and defeat their rulers. Inside continental North America, the defeat of French imperialist army in 1803 weakened its stranglehold on large sections of what is now known as North America. Korngold says that, quote, it was not Toussaint's intention to help the United States of America acquire the Louisiana Territory, which doubled the area of the country and made possible further expansion westward, but there is reason to believe that but for the Negro General, the territory might have remained a French colony, unquote. In regards to the role of Toussaint, James says in The Black Jacobins that, quote, the writer believes and is confident the narrative will prove that between 1789 and 1815, with the single exception of Bonaparte himself, no single figure appeared on the historical stage more greatly gifted than this black man, a slave till he was 45 years old. Yet Toussaint did not make the revolution. It was the revolution that made Toussaint. And even that is not the whole truth, unquote. As it relates to the role of the individual in history, and James notes this in The Black Jacobins, that, quote, today, by a natural reaction, we tend to a personification of the social forces. Great men, great women being merely or nearly instruments in the hands of economic destiny. As so often, the truth does not lie in between. Great men and women make history, but only such history as it is possible for them to make. Their freedom of achievement is limited by the necessities of their environment. To portray the limits of those necessities as the realization, complete or partial, or of all possibilities, that is the true business of the historian, unquote. Now, as mentioned earlier, the role of the Haitian Revolution between 1791 and 1804 had a tremendous impact on the slave system in the United States. The fear of rebellion in the South, the Louisiana Purchase, and the defeat of the French imperialist army in 1803 changed the economic and social character of the United States. Toussaint, however, would not live to see the triumph of the revolution. He was betrayed and later deceived into discussions with the French, which led to his arrest and his deportation to France, where he eventually died in prison in 1803, prior to the Declaration of National Independence. Nonetheless, the revolution continued under the leadership of Jean-Jacques Dessalines, and the Republic of Haiti was proclaimed on January the 1st, 1804. Some 2 years later, Dessalines was assassinated at Point Rouge. Both the United States and France refused to recognize the Haitian Republic. This did not stop the new nation from playing an important role in the Caribbean, as well as Latin American affairs during the 19th century. In 1815 and 1816, Simon Bolivar, the South American revolutionary, was granted asylum twice in Haiti, where he gained support and military assistance in his campaign to liberate Latin America from Spanish colonial rule. Later in 1822, Haiti intervened in the Dominican Republic, resulting in the collapse of slavery on the island of Hispaniola. The Haitian occupation of the Dominican Republic lasted until 1844. In 1825, the French granted conditional recognition to Haiti after the Republic agreed to pay, quote, indemnity, unquote, to the former colonial power for the property destroyed during the Revolutionary War of 1791 to 1803. Haiti promised to pay 150 million gold francs as compensation, resulting in full recognition in 1838. And this is the key factor that hindered the development of Haiti, the fact that they were forced to pay indemnity to the French imperialists. And Toussaint would have definitely been opposed to this had he lived. And Jean Bertrand Aristide in response to this underdevelopment over the centuries in Haiti, demanded that the French pay reparations to Haiti, and it wasn't too long after that that he was overthrown. In 1861, the United States ruling class split over the question of slavery, and several southern states withdrew from the Union, leading to the Civil War that lasted until 1865. At the same time of the Civil War, some 4 million Africans remained enslaved by the white ruling class in this country. During the Civil War, approximately 176,000 Africans participated in the Union Army in their fight to end slavery. It was during this period, in 1862, 1863, that both the Emancipation Proclamation was issued and the formal recognition of Haiti was granted by the United States government. So there's a clear link between the emancipation of Africans in the United States and the recognition of Haiti by the United States. Very important to note. Yes. Lincoln could not win the war without the participation of the African people. In 1889, Frederick Douglass was appointed as the U.S. Minister and Consul General to Haiti. During the turn of the 19th and 20th centuries, the United States escalated its drive to become the world's leading imperialist power. The so-called Spanish-American War was in actuality a concerted effort to seize control of the Spanish colonies of Cuba, Puerto Rico, and the Philippines. They call it the Spanish-American War, but in actuality, it was just an expansion for U.S. imperialism. The U.S. would build a military base on the island of Cuba at Guantanamo Bay, which still exists today. The Platt Amendment was passed by the U.S. Congress, which granted the imperialists a supposed legal right to occupy this section of Cuba for decades to come. That was passed in, I believe it was in 1902. In 1914, World War erupted in Europe, although the U.S. did not become directly involved until 1917. Nonetheless, the U.S. Marines invaded Haiti in 1915 and virtually re-enslaved the African masses in that country. Eventually, the brutal conditions and blatant racism led to the formation of a guerrilla army among the Haitian masses under the direction of Charlemagne Pirot, whose Caicos would play an instrumental role in the withdrawal of U.S. troops during the Roosevelt administration. So they stayed there between 1915 and 1934, and as a result of the resistance of the Haitian people, the troops were withdrawn in 1934 during the period of Franklin Roosevelt, and of course there was a worldwide economic depression going on during that particular time period. Another tragedy inflicted on Haitians in 1937, when between 17,000 and 35,000 of his people who were living in neighboring Dominican Republic were massacred by the armed forces on the orders of President Rafael Trujillo. This massacre was endorsed by the United States when Secretary of State at that time, Cordell Hull, declared that President Trujillo was one of the greatest people Latin America had ever produced. In 1957, the most well-known dictators and U.S. puppets, Francois Papa Doc Duvalier, became president of Haiti. In subsequent years, Duvalier attacked his opponents and drove many of them into exile. This reign of terror continued with the full backing of the U.S. until 1964, when Duvalier declared himself, quote, president for life, unquote. Although Papa Doc Duvalier died in 1971, his son, Baby Doc, took over the reins of power in Haiti. During the 1970s and 1980s, thousands more Haitians fled the country and sought asylum in the United States. The level of poverty and repression against the people accelerated, with mass exploitation carried out against the people by many U.S.-based multinational corporations. Haiti, of course, is, a massive reservoir for cheap labor for U.S. Multinational corporations. Between the years of 1982 and 1984, the agricultural sector in Haiti was virtually destroyed when the U.S.-controlled Organization of American States and the State Department's Agency for International Development oversaw the slaughter of livestock deemed to be carriers of what they call the African swine fever, unquote. The country has yet to recover from this tremendous setback to the peasant economy in Haiti. Consequently, many people were forced to leave the countryside and take up residence in the urban areas, which became extremely overcrowded. Port-au-Prince is a city, from what I understand, that should house about 50,000 people. And today, there are, I think, 2 million people that live there. So most of the people who live there, if they live in this country, would be considered homeless, because they have makeshift shacks that they live in. And this is why the impact of the earthquake was so devastating, because of the poor architectural design, the lack of housing, and the overall underdevelopment that exists in Haiti. Despite these repressive measures by the Duvalier regime, backed by the United States under successive administrations, whether they were Republicans or Democrats, the masses in Haiti rose up through strikes and rebellions, forcing the dictatorial regime of Baby Doc Duvalier to flee the country in 1986. The U.S. Air Force provided safe passage for Duvalier to take refuge in France. I believe he's still there today. A military junta took charge, led by Generals Henry Namfi and William Regala, largely due to the fact that no cohesive political party or coalition was